Maybe you think you are in love, but what is really happening is that something inside you recognizes an old feeling and runs toward it before you consciously notice it. You believe you have found someone special, someone different. Yet deep inside there is a quiet familiarity that feels far too comfortable to be a coincidence. And that is exactly where the cycle you do not understand begins, because at the beginning, everything feels intense, alive, promising. There is an immediate connection, instant closeness, a feeling of destiny, as if someone has finally arrived, as if something has finally been found. But then something changes. Small signals begin to appear. Fear starts to grow. Insecurity emerges quietly, and you feel the need to hold on to that person, as if losing them would also mean losing yourself. So you try harder. You give more. You tolerate more, even when something inside warns you that something is not right. There is a part of you that prefers suffering over losing, because losing awakens an old emptiness, an emptiness that did not begin in this relationship. You promise yourself you will not repeat it, but you repeat it. You promise it will be different. But the feeling remains the same. The faces change, the stories change, but the sensation remains identical, as if you were living different versions of the same experience. And that is confusing, because you do not understand why you always become attached like this. There is emotional urgency, there is fear of abandonment, there is a need for constant reassurance. There is anxiety when the person pulls away even a little. There is exaggerated relief when they return. And before you realize it, you are deeply involved again, as if something had pulled you inside. Without asking permission, without explaining the reason, like an invisible force guiding your emotions. Then the silent question appears. Why does this always happen to me? There is an invisible mirror inside relationships, and you rarely notice that you are looking into it. You believe you are reacting to the other person, but often you are reacting to an internal reflection. Every gesture activates memories. Every silence awakens old sensations. Sometimes a small change in behavior is enough, and your body already responds with anxiety, because it is not only the present. It is the past appearing again. There is an emotional child inside you, and it is still waiting for something it never fully received: security, validation, presence. When someone comes close, that part awakens and tries to ensure that this time it will be different. Then attachment appears, not as pure love, but as an attempt at inner repair. You want it to work. You want it to succeed. You want to prove that this time it will be safe. But fear accompanies every step. Because the wound still exists, there is a constant duality: the desire for closeness, the fear of losing, the desire for love, the fear of rejection. And the greater the intensity, the greater the emotional activation. You feel that you have found someone important, but perhaps you have only found an emotional trigger, a reflection, an echo, a repetition. And this does not mean weakness. It means that something unconscious is asking for attention. Something wants to be seen, understood, integrated. There is loyalty to what is familiar, even when the familiar hurts. What is known feels safe, even when it is unstable, and without noticing it, you return to the same type of bond, hoping that this time you will finally experience a different ending. In analytical psychology, there is a profound phenomenon: the unconscious repetition of emotional patterns. The psyche attempts to recreate situations similar to the past, not to harm you, but to try to resolve what remained unfinished, what was not understood, what was not integrated. That is why you quickly feel familiarity with certain people, as if you already knew them, as if there were an immediate connection, but often it is unconscious emotional recognition, not necessarily real compatibility. The unconscious seeks resolution, even through pain, even through repetition, until awareness finally appears. And when you begin to recognize the pattern, something changes, not outside but inside. You begin to observe your reactions, your expectations, your fears, and you realize that part of the attachment comes from within you, not only from the relationship. This is an important moment because it creates space between emotion and awareness. And within that space, freedom appears. Carl Jung expressed this deeply. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Carl Jung, awakening does not mean stopping feeling. It means understanding where the feeling comes from. It means recognizing its internal origin. You begin to notice when anxiety arises, when fear appears, when the need for reassurance grows. And by noticing it, you stop being completely dominated by it. The emotion still exists, but now awareness exists with it. And when awareness appears, the pattern slowly begins to lose its power. There is a quiet moment when you realize that you do not need to run or hold on or prove anything. You still feel the urge to attach, but now you observe that urge without completely merging with it. That creates something new inside, a presence, an inner stability. You begin to offer yourself what you were searching for outside: comfort, validation, security. And then attachment loses intensity because it is no longer a matter of emotional survival. Relationships stop being an urgent necessity and become a conscious choice. There is more space, more calm, more truth. You realize that you do not need to disappear to be loved, nor reshape yourself to be accepted. Something quietly reorganizes within you, like a lake that finally becomes still. After so much turbulence, not because the wind stopped, but because you discovered depth. And within that depth, there is peace. A peace that does not depend on anyone. A peace that is born from awareness. A peace that remains even when the other person walks away. Like the ocean that remains, even when the waves change. Like a flame that keeps burning, even when the wind blows. Something remains quietly inside you, observing, present, alive. If this reflection touched something true within you, write the word awareness in the comments, because it is through awareness that we begin to see what we once repeated without realizing. And when something is clearly seen for the first time, it no longer has the same power over us.